Okay, so welcome back. Sorry, I'm just arranging the tools bar and everything. So welcome back. My name is Ricardo Montoya. As you know, I am your teacher for the level 500 and 600 at the University of Guanajuato in the SEA. So this is an extra video, and we are going to use it to speak about past time tenses. But we're going to explain the difference between the simple past, the past continuous, and the past perfect. And even the past perfect continuous, we're going to be checking all the different ways we can say something in past, but with a story. Okay, we're going to be reading a story. This is a reading comprehension kind of exercise, but it's a reading comprehension kind of exercise that is using past. So before we start, and just so everybody remembers, this video is you should watch it after you have seen all the time tenses, after you have seen the simple present, the simple past, the simple future, the future perfect, the future continuous, all the time tenses, okay? The simple time tenses, the continuous time tenses, the perfect time tenses, and the perfect continuous time tenses. So let's just remember how to use the simple past. The simple past is actually very complicated. I hope you remember this. This is kind of weird because we need subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. But in the simple past, when you have an affirmative statement, the auxiliary, you never use it. The auxiliary is did. And if you don't have the auxiliary, the verb has to be in the past. So you can say something like, I did go to Berlin. Okay? The problem is because this is an affirmative statement, you never use the auxiliary. And because you are not using the auxiliary, then you need to change the verb, and the verb has to be in the past. The past of go, went. I went to Berlin. So this is the problem with the simple past. The other problem is that the verb to be never uses the auxiliary did. You have subject, for example, let's say Charlie. This is the subject. The auxiliary is never with the verb to be. And the verb to be has two conjugations, was or were. In the case of Charlie, was, and the complement, happy. Charlie was happy, okay? This is an affirmative statement, and that's okay. But if you make it negative, if it was a normal sentence like, I went to Berlin, how do you make them negative? Normally, the only thing that you have to do is you need to use the auxiliary to take the negative, didn't, and the verb is not in past, it's in present. You don't need to change the verb because you have the auxiliary. In the case of the verb to be, the verb is going to take the negative. He wasn't happy, yes? If you want to make a question, normally, the only thing that you need to do is to take the auxiliary and switch it with the subject. Did I go to Berlin? In this case, Charlie is the verb that changes. Was Charlie happy? Okay, so this is the simple past. This is a little complicated, but we have seen it, you checked it. I think we spoke about it a couple of times before. So I hope that you remember that. And remember that the simple past is used normally when you are speaking about the central point of a story. So we have a story, and the central point is always going to be in the simple past. The past continues. The past continuous is the subject, the auxiliary, the verb, and the complement. The auxiliary is always the verb to be. So in this case, was or were, because it's the verb to be in the past. And the verb is always in gerund. Sorry. In gerund, it means that it finishes with ing. Ng. Yes? I was watching a game. I was taking a shower, okay? And the past continuous is normally used to speak the context of a story that is happening in the past. It's not the main point of the story, it's just something around the story, something that happened at around the same time, something that was interrupted. It's just the context of the story, okay? The past perfect, the past perfect is again subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. The auxiliary is the verb have in the past, so it's always have, and the verb is always in the past participle. I had gone to Berlin. Okay, you use the past perfect as the past of the past. You use it to distinguish a recent event from a remote event, something that just happened against something that happened prior to that. Okay, so you're going to be using that. And then you have the past perfect continuous. Yeah, the past perfect continuous is subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. The auxiliary in the past perfect continuous is have been, and the verb is with ing. I have been running around. I have been thinking about you. I have been doing something. This is a mix between these two. This is something that happened before. I have been, well, that morning I have been thinking a lot. So this is the past of the past, and it's also something that was happening over a period of time. So it is a little bit of a combination of both. It's something that I had been doing, that I started at the past. I started at some point in the past, but also in the past, I stopped to do it. Okay, I stopped doing it. So these are the four pasts that we're going to be using. The simple past, the past continuous, the past perfect, and the past perfect continuous. So we have this sentence. Well, it's not a sentence. This is a little text. Well, not so little. I left a lot of space between the lines so that we had the chance to make some annotations around this. Okay, so but the first thing I'm gonna do is I will read it. Okay, so the past time tenses exercise. So let me just read this part. Okay, I will read it complete before, and then we're gonna just like break it down and check how they are using different time tenses. So it says, I like to think generally that people are honest and that they, I like to think generally that people are honest and that they will do, that they will always do the right thing. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. I remember one day I was running to catch the subway to go on an interview. I was feeling stressed because I was late and I've been running around all morning. I ran across the platform, but the doors of the train started to close. In a last effort to get onto the train, I threw my bag onto it. The door slammed shut, and I stood on the platform as the train pulled slowly away. I felt so stupid. I just thrown my bag with my computer and my wallet onto a train. I looked around for help, but of course, everyone ignored me. The next day, I called the lost and found department to ask if they had my bag. They didn't. Someone had taken it. Since then, I've often thought about that day. I know if I ever find someone's bag, I'll do the right thing. Okay, this was a short anecdote, something that someone did. So we're gonna be checking, we have two stories, this is the first one. Let's just try to break it down, okay? So as you remember, because these sentences are in English, they always have the same structure, subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. So you have your subject, I, your verb, the auxiliary is do, you never use it because this is an affirmative statement, and this is a verb complement. It's not really a verb, is the thing that I like. I like cats, I like dogs, I like hot dogs, I like to think, okay? So this is in the simple present. Generally, this is just an adverb, and then we have another subject. I think that, you know, that this is a connector, is connecting this clause with this clause. People is the subject, are is the verb. This doesn't have the auxiliary because it's the verb to be in the simple present. You never use the auxiliary. Are honest, and this is another connector, that that they, this is the subject, auxiliary will, this is an adverb, this doesn't really count, adverb, and this is a verb in the base form, and that they will do the right thing. Unfortunately, this is just an adverb, is an introduction. This is not always the case. This is the subject, and the verb with the negative is the verb to be, is not or isn't, and then it's the complement. Okay, so this is just the introduction to the sentence. If you look at it, if you pay attention to it, you can check how they are not even using the past. This is a story that happened in the past, but for the first for the introduction of it, we have I like to think. This is the simple present. I like to think Normally or always, this is in the present. The present is used for routines or things that you always do or that are always true. People are honest. This is the simple present again. So people are normally honest or always honest or generally honest. Well, generally it says here. And that they will always do the right thing. They will. This is the simple future. They will do the right thing. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Unfortunately, this is just a comment, and it's telling you, it's explaining to you how, well, this is what he normally thinks, but there is a contrasting idea. This is a contrasting idea. This is not always the case. This is the verb to be in the simple present. This is again the simple present. So for the introduction, he's not even using the past. He's talking about the simple present. He's talking about the simple past, sorry, the simple present and the simple future. I like to think normally that people are honest normally and that they will do the right thing in the future, that they will do it. Unfortunately, this is not the case normally in the present. So the first part of the sentence, well, the first part of the text, this is supposed to be a story in the past, but this is the introduction. This is the intro. And in the introduction, we haven't even used any past time tense. So we're gonna continue checking. Maybe we're gonna find some past in the next part. It says, I remember, subject and verb. The auxiliary is do. You never use it because this is an affirmative statement. I remember, this is in the present again. I was running to catch one day, subject, auxiliary, and verb with ing. If you have the auxiliary was or were and a verb with ing, this is the past continuous. One day I was running to catch the subway to go to an interview. I was feeling. The verb is with ing. I was feeling stressed. So again, you have the past continuous. I was feeling stressed because I was late. Subject, and this is just the verb to be. You don't have a verb with ing. If you had a verb with ing, this will be the auxiliary and this will be past continuous, but this is not a verb. So this is the verb. The verb is was. This is the simple past. And I've been running around, subject. The auxiliary is have been. And the verb is with ing, running around all morning. So in this part, as you can see, now they are using the present. Again, the present is I remember. I remember. It's because I always remember, or I normally remember, or in this moment I remember. This is the present. I remember one day, and then this is where the story starts. Yes, one day I was running to catch the subway. This idea, I was running to catch the subway, or I was running, well, again, this is a complement, a verb complement. Remember that when you have verb in the infinitive, like we had one over here, to think, this is a verb complement, this is another verb complement. I was running, and the reason I was running was to catch the subway, okay? This is the past continuous, so this means that this is not the main point of the story. This is just the context. Now, you can imagine a person. It's just like setting the stage. Now, you can close your eyes and imagine a person that is running around to catch the subway. Okay, this is not the important part, but now you can imagine a subway station, a train station, and you can imagine a person that is like in a hurry trying to run around. So I was running to catch the subway to go to an interview. I was feeling stressed. Again, this is the past continuous. I was feeling stressed. Okay, this is another part of the this is not the main idea. This is another part of the context. You can imagine a person that is running around to catch the subway, and you can imagine this person feeling stressed. So this person was running and was feeling stressed because this is a connector, and then you have another clause. I was late. This is the simple past. So this is an important part of the story. The main part of the story is I was late, okay? I was late. This is around this time, I was late. And the context is I was running to catch the subway and I was feeling stressed. And I have been running around all morning. This, I have been running around all morning. I have been running around. That is the past perfect continuous. You use it again for the context in the past. So this is the past perfect continuous. So before this time, she was late. It was 10 a.m. But before it was late because the meeting was at 9:30, this person had been running around. Maybe this person had been running around all morning since 7 a.m. Like, this is in the past, the recent past. This is in the past perfect. Or in this case, the past perfect continuous. Because this is not the important part. This is just, again, the context, but it happened previous to the simple past. In the simple past, I was late, but before being late, I had been running around all morning. So we are using different pasts, okay? So let me just erase this, because when I scroll down, these marks are gonna remain there. So, okay. We have this part. One day, I was running to catch the subway to go to an interview. I was feeling stressed because I was late and I had been running around all morning. So this part here is not, well, it's not necessarily the main point of the story. This part here is what we can call like the context. In this part, you are explaining like the scene. You're explaining where you were, what you were doing, how were you feeling, what was going on around the situation. This is not the main part of the story, but this is the context. You didn't start with, this is the point. You started by explaining what was going on around it, okay? So then it says, let me just choose the mouse again. Then we have this. I run across the platform. Okay, so we have, again, the simple past. I ran. The auxiliary is did. Because you don't have the auxiliary, you had to change the verb. The verb is run, but in the past you say ran, okay? Well, actually the verb is run across, is a phrasal verb. I ran across the platform from one side to the platform to the other side of the platform. This is the simple past. So this is the main part of the story. The rest was the context. This is the main part of the story. I ran across the platform, but the doors of the train, this is the subject, started, this is the verb, the auxiliary again is did. You never use it because you don't have the auxiliary, you had to change the verb. And this is the complement. To close is a verb complement. They started doing what? They started to close. And in a last effort to get in the train, this is again another verb complement. It was a last effort, a last push, a last try to get on the train. And then we have a comma, another subject. I, true. This is the auxiliary is did. The verb is in the past. Normally, this is the verb throw. To throw is to take something and you throw it, right? Like you're throwing a stone. Or if you have a baseball, you need to throw the baseball. To throw is to take something in your hand and then just like send it over with the force of your arm. You need to throw. So he threw, in the past, he threw his bag onto the train. This is the important part of the story. He ran across the platform, the doors started to close, and he threw his bag onto the train. So the doors, this is the subject, slammed shut. This is the verb. The auxiliary is did. We don't have it. Normally the verb is slam, but because it is in the past, it's slammed. To slam shut is to close. The doors close. When you say slam shut, is they close with a lot of force. Like when you're going away, you close the door. But if you are angry or something is happening to you, you slam the door. Slamming the door is like with a lot of force. It sounds like you're angry or something, like you know, like the thud. So that's it. So the doors completely close. They slam shut. And I, subject, the verb is stood, the auxiliary is did. This is in the past. The normal verb is stand. Stand is to be on your feet. In this moment, I am not standing. I am sitting in my chair. But when I stand up, standing up means that you are on your feet, to stand. So this person was standing, or in the simple past, he stood on the platform. So he was doing nothing. He was just like looking at the train. As the train is the subject, and the verb is pulled away. This is an adverb. The auxiliary is did. This is in the simple past. The train pulled away. To pull away, it means to start moving, and you use it only with vehicles like a bus, a train, a car. When they start moving, they pull away. Okay, pulling away, it means to start moving. Yeah. So the train is just slowly started to pull away. It pulled away. I felt, this is the verb, this is the auxiliary is did, this is the simple past. The verb in present, it will be feel. I felt so stupid. I did feel stupid. This is the way he felt. I, subject, auxiliary have, and the verb is thrown. The verb is in the past participle. Throw, remember throw is like this. The simple past is true, and the past participle is thrown. I have thrown my bag. This is the past perfect. Why the past perfect? Because this is the past of the past. First, he threw his bag onto the train, and after that, next, he felt so stupid. I felt so stupid. I had just thrown my bag with my computer and wallet onto a train. So first, he threw the bag, and after that, he felt so stupid. This is the main point, and this is just like an antecedent, something that happened previous to that. With my computer and my wallet. So his computer and his wallet were on the bag, and he threw all of it inside the train. So as you can see, in this case, we have a lot of simple past. The simple past is the main point of the story. What is the main point of the story? Simple past. I run across the platform. This is an important part. I ran. I did that. I did the action of running. The doors of the train, the doors started to close. This is another important part. The doors started to close. They started to move. In a last effort to get in the train, I threw my bag onto it. I threw my bag. This is the most important part of the story, right? The important part of the story is that this person was so desperate that he threw his bag inside of the train. Then it says, the doors slammed shut. So the doors completely closed. I stood on the platform. This is the simple past. I stood on the platform. I was standing. I did nothing. I was just standing there. This is the simple past. This is the important part of the story. The train pulled away. Yeah, the train pulled away. The train moved. It went on its way without me inside. Then I felt so stupid. This is another important part of the story. I felt stupid. Why? Because before feeling stupid, and before the doors closed, and before I stood on the platform, before all these actions, I had thrown my bag. This is the past of the past. This happens first, and then all of this happened. Yes, first I threw my bag inside the train, and then I felt stupid. Then the train pulled away. Then I stood in the platform. Then the door slammed shut. So the first thing I did was to throw my bag in the train. And that after that, the simple past, the more recent past. Okay, so this part of the story, this is the main part, the main point of the story. This is what the story is about. So the important thing about this exercise is that you understand when to use the simple past, when to use the past continuous, when to use the past perfect. I mean, we can know all these things, we can know them, we know them, but another important thing is that we need to understand when to use them. We need to choose to use the simple past, or choose to use the past continuous, or even the simple present. I mean, in this story, we have already used like 6 or 7 different time tenses, and you need to be sure or when to use each one. It says, I looked around for help. Again, we have a subject and a verb. I looked around. The auxiliary is did. So this is the main point. This is the simple past. I looked around for help. But of course, everyone, subject, ignored me. This is the verb. This is in the past. The auxiliary will be did. We are not using it, and then we use the verb. This is another this simple past. This is the main point of the story. The next day, one day after that, I called. This is the simple past. The auxiliary is did. Because you don't have the auxiliary, you need to change the verb to the past. Yes? This is the simple past. I called the lost and found department. The lost and found department is a department on like big stores and malls, or maybe like in the public transportation offices, where whenever people find something, they leave it there. So he called the lost and found department to ask if they have, this is the verb, this is not the auxiliary. How do you know that this is not the auxiliary? Because this is not a verb in the past participle. If you have, they had gone, then this is the verb and this is the auxiliary and this is the past perfect. But that is not the case. You had, and after had you have my bag. So this is the verb and the auxiliary again is did. This is the simple past. Normally the verb is have, but because you don't have the auxiliary, you change the verb to past. So it will be had. They didn't. Subject and the auxiliary with negative. They didn't. They didn't what? They didn't have the bag. They didn't have the bag because someone, auxiliary, verb in past participle, and complement. This is the past perfect. When do you use the past perfect? The past perfect is the past of the past, okay? So in this case, first, someone took the bag. Someone had taken the bag. And after someone had taken the bag, he called and they didn't have it. Yeah, first, someone took the bag. And after that, well, he called and nobody had it, and that was it. So again, this is an antecedent. Yeah, you use the past perfect or the past perfect continuous to speak about things that happened previous to the other actions. You are separating them on time. Like somebody took the bag maybe at 1 hour after he threw it, and he called the next day. So first somebody took the bag, and then afterwards they didn't have it, okay? Or he called. So, okay, this part is, again, the main part of the story. The main part of the story is full with simple past and past perfect, yes? You use the past continuous to explain the context, and you use the simple past and the past perfect to explain the main point of the story. The simple past is for events that happened recently, and the past perfect for things that happened previous to those things. And then finally, we have, well, the end of the story. It says, since then, starting in that moment, since that moment, subject, auxiliary, and verb in past participle. This is an adverb, it doesn't count. I have taught, this is have. I have taught, this is the present perfect. What do you do with the present perfect? Remember, the present perfect connects the past with the present. Like something you have done is an experience that you have had. I have eaten sushi. It means one day I ate sushi and today I continue to have the experience of having eaten sushi. Okay, I have done that. That is the meaning of the present perfect. It's like something that started in the past but continues to be true now. So that day I started thinking about it, and today I continue to think about it. So this is connecting the past to the present. I have often thought about that day. I know, subject and verb, this is the simple present. Again, he's back to the simple present. If I find, the auxiliary again is do, you never use it, the verb is find, someone's bag, subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. This is the future. So you are using the present perfect to connect the past with the present, and you are using the simple present and even the future because this is the conclusion. Yes, so we had the intro. The intro was using the simple present and even the future. The conclusion is again using the simple present, the present perfect, and even the future. In the middle, you had some context. This was with continuous forms. And then you have the main point. The main point of the story is with the simple past. So we are using many different time tenses in this text because we need to separate what is the main point, what is the context, what is the intro, what is an action that continues to be true, an action that will happen in the future, an action that happened before that action. So we need to use many different time tenses. This is the important part about the time tenses. It's not just memorizing this. The point is not to memorize this. The point is to understand when to use them, because we are going to have to combine them, and that is a decision that we make. That is the only decision that we make. I have another story. So again, it's a short story. I will read it first, and then we will check it. It says, it is simple good manners to hold the doors open for people, but not everyone is so considerate. One day, I went into an office building. I was carrying a big box of paper, which I was delivering to a business. Suddenly, a woman who was walking behind me pushed right in front of me. She opened the heavy glass door and didn't hold it for me. The door slammed in my face, and I fell backwards on the sidewalk. Since then, I have always made sure I hold doors open for people. Okay? So again, we have an introduction. We're gonna do it with colors. I mean, the thing is, I don't think I have enough space to do all of it, but let's try. We're gonna do it with colors. The introduction is going to be with purple. This is the intro. The introduction, subject and verb. This is the simple present. It is good manners. Good manners is good education. When you are well educated, when you behave in a good manner, you have good manners. Good manners, it means that you say hello, goodbye, you open the door for people, you excuse yourself. Those are good manners. So it is good manners. This is what is good manners: to hold doors open for people. What is holding a door open? Like when you go to the store or something, the doors are closed, and then you open the door, and if somebody is behind you, I think the polite thing to do, the educated thing to do, is to hold the door, to maintain the door open so the other person passes, and then you let it close. Okay, so it is good manners to hold the door open for people, but not everyone, this is the subject, not everyone is so considerate. Yes, this is again the introduction. This is the simple present. In the present, this person is saying that normally it is good manners to hold the doors open for people, but normally in the present, not everyone does it. Yeah, this is the simple present. Then let's say we're gonna go checking for the context. One day, I went into an office building. This is the simple past. So this is the main point of the story. I went into an office building. I is the subject, was is the auxiliary, carrying, this is the verb with ing, a big box of paper. So this is not the main point. This is the context. I went into an office, okay, I was in the office, an office building, sorry, I went into an office building. And when I was in the office building, I was in the middle of carrying a big box of paper. I had a big box of paper in my hands. My hands were full. I mean, I couldn't use my hands because I was carrying a big box of paper, which I was, auxiliary, delivering to a business. So this is again the context. I was carrying a big box of paper, and I was delivering. I was in the middle of the process. I have my hands full with the paper, and I was delivering the paper or the box to a business. I was delivering. To deliver is entregar. Okay, I was in the middle of that process. Suddenly, like out of nowhere, from one moment to another, like with no warning, suddenly, a woman who, this is the subject, was walking behind me. So this again, the verb is with ing. This is again the context. A woman who was walking behind me. So there was one woman that was walking behind him. He was walking, and the woman was behind him. Okay, this woman, all of this, a woman who was walking behind me. This is the subject, and the verb is pushed. The auxiliary is did, you never use it. The verb is this. Push right in front of me. The verb is a phrasal verb, it's not push, it's push in front of. To push in front of is to take over someone. Es como rebasar, ¿sí? To push in front of someone es como meterse en la fila cuando ustedes están formados y hay una persona atrás. If somebody moves ahead of you, they are pushing in front of you. ¿Sí? No se dice meterse como get in, o no se dice meterse en la cola, o sea, nada así, se dice como push in front. When you push in front of someone, es como que le ganas su lugar, te vas adelante de esto. Esto está en pasado simple, and that means, ¿se dan cuenta cómo aquí esta cláusula está en pasado continuo y esta cláusula completa está funcionando como el sujeto de esta otra oración. Entonces, una mujer que estaba caminando detrás de mí se metió enfrente, ¿sí? Me rebasó, ¿sí? Esta es la parte importante, se metió enfrente de mí. She, subject, opened, este es el verbo, no hay auxiliar, el auxiliar sería did. Como no hay auxiliar, el verbo está en pasado. She opened the heavy glass, the heavy glass door. Ella abrió la pesada puerta de cristal, ¿sí? Y déjenme borrar aquí para poder subir, porque si subo sin borrar esto, pues no se mueven las marcas que hice no se mueven, entonces pues nada más se ve un rayadero y ya no queden en su lugar. Ok, vamos a tener que volver a hacer este. Ok, so it says, this is the final part. She right in front of me, she, subject, opened. This is the verb in the simple past, the auxiliary is did. This is the main point of the story. She opened the heavy glass door and didn't, the subject is, and she, the same person, when you're using and, you're connecting it to the other one. And she didn't, this is the auxiliary with the negative, hold, this is the verb, she didn't hold it for me. So this person pushed in front of him, she was in front of him, he opened the glass door, the door, and she didn't hold it. She just kept going. She didn't stop. The door, subject, slammed, verb. The auxiliary is did. We never use it in affirmative statements. And the verb is in the past. So the door slammed in my face. Again, slamming is when you close something with a lot of force. So when the door slams in your face, on your face, it means that it hits you in the face. Like the door, she didn't hold it. So the door went back and it hit him in the face. And I, this person, the verb is fell, the auxiliary is did. Normally the verb will be fall, but because this is in the past and we don't have the auxiliary, we say fell. I fell backwards. Backwards, it means on the back direction, okay? This is front, this is to my left, this is to my right, and this is to my back. Your back or the back is the direction opposite to your face. When you do something backwards, it means that you do it in the opposite direction. For example, when you are walking backwards, it means that you're walking in the opposite direction that you're looking. When you are speaking backwards, is that you start with the last letter, right? And then you start speaking backwards. When you fall backwards, it means that your falling is to this side. The door hit you in the face, and then you fall towards your back. On the sidewalk. He fell backwards on the sidewalk. The sidewalk is la acera, la banqueta. It's just outside of the building. Since then, aquí ya estamos cambiando y aquí ya nos estamos refiriendo. Todo esto de acá era el main point. Por eso estaba lleno de presente simple y ahí por ahí uno que otro presente continuo. Desde aquí para acá, I have made sure subject, auxiliary, and verb in past participle. Este es el presente perfecto. Desde entonces me he asegurado, otra vez está conectando el pasado con el presente. Ese día empecé a asegurarme y continúo haciéndolo. Hoy siempre me aseguro that I hold doors open for people. Again, this is in the simple present. This here is the conclusion. Yes? So the conclusion can use the simple present. It can use the present perfect to connect the past to the present. And again, as with the other story, the important thing is not only knowing this. Muchas veces nos concentramos en esto, en sabernos cómo son los tiempos, cómo se usan todos los tiempos, sabernos todo esto, pero realmente lo útil no es solo eso. Lo útil es saber cuándo utilizarlos, para qué sirven. ¿Cuándo necesito el pasado simple? ¿Cuándo el pasado continuo? ¿Cuándo el pasado perfecto? ¿Cuándo un tiempo perfecto continuo? ¿Cuándo el futuro? ¿Cuándo el presente? ¿Cuándo el presente perfecto? En este texto, bueno, en estos dos textos, son historias muy normales que cualquier persona podría contar. Y creo que usamos como 8 de los 12 tiempos, ¿sí? Usamos el pasado simple, el pasado continuo, el pasado perfecto continuo, el presente perfecto y el futuro. Creo que usamos por lo menos 7 tiempos de los 12 que hay. Y son unas conversaciones muy mundanas, muy normales, muy sin chiste. Entonces, bueno, aquí la cosa otra vez es que nosotros sepamos identificar cuándo usar cada uno de los cada uno de los textos, ¿sí? Aquí tengo pues ya analizada estas oraciones, sujeto, verbo, complemento, sujeto, verbo, complemento, sujeto auxiliar, verbo, complemento. Si se dan cuenta también, siempre estamos cumpliendo con las mismas reglas, ¿sí? Tenemos estos conectores, and that, tenemos el conector because, el conector and, el conector but, and, as, but, if, but, which, who, que bueno, está aquí siendo usado como sujeto, pero también es un conector, and that. Esos conectores nos permiten unir cláusulas. Y si ustedes se dan cuenta, entre esos conectores siempre están sujeto, auxiliar, verbo y complemento, sujeto, auxiliar, verbo y complemento, sujeto, auxiliar, verbo y complemento. Okay? So that will be it for today. Thank you very much. And well, I'll see you soon. Take care. Okay? So I need to end this. Okay? See you.